Good morning, Kuhner country. Okay, my friends. As you know, Trump now has just left Saudi Arabia. He is on his way to Qatar or Qatar, depending how you want to pronounce it, on his historic trip to the Middle East. And honestly, he's been making a lot of news, most of it very good, very positive for the United States. But that's not what the media is focusing on. And in an incredible development, and this to me is clearly one of the biggest stories of our time, the U.S. media, the entire corrupt fake news media, along with Democrats, liberals across the board, are now going apoplectic. They are furious, livid, melting down over Trump's decision to admit white people into the country as refugees. I swear to you, you couldn't make this up. It is pure racism. It is pure anti-white discrimination, and it is on full display. It is irrefutable. If you ever doubted for a second that the Democrats and liberals were anti-white racists who truly believe in anti-white discrimination and anti-white persecution, now there is no doubt left. So here is the absolute latest. In South Africa, a disaster is unfolding in that country. It is a post-apartheid country, obviously. The radical left, really in many ways the communists, under the ANC and their successors, have now driven the country into the ground. The economy now is in disarray. It is now sliding quickly to third world status. It is becoming, in some ways, the crime capital of the world. South Africa now has one of the highest murder crime rates in the entire world. It is hunting season down there for criminals against victims. But in particular, it's not just black on black crime. In particular, the black majority, most of them egged on by Marxist communist radicals, either in power or in the opposition, are now launching a persecution and ethnic cleansing campaign against the beleaguered racial white minority. And in particular, and this is where Trump now comes in, and this is the whole debate, white farmers, white South African farmers known as Afrikaners, or the Boers as they used to be known, are now seeing their farms confiscated with no compensation. Marauding bands of black Marxist thugs just come in and literally drive out families at gunpoint, sometimes shooting them dead, and literally just seizing their land and their farms. You are now seeing forced confiscation, forced seizure of land owned by these Afrikaners, these white farmers. You are seeing murder and persecution of white farmers on a systematic level. They are now doing in South Africa what was done previously to the white minority, what was then known as Rhodesia, today known as Zimbabwe. All of the land is being taken. All of the whites are being murdered or cleansed and removed from the country. Zimbabwe's economy collapsed, and literally they ended up having mass starvation. South Africa now is repeating the same pattern. And so, faced with this systematic persecution, murder, and land confiscation, Trump now has designated white South Africans, i.e. the Afrikaners, as refugees. Why? Because they are legitimate refugees. They are being systematically persecuted. Their homes, their property, their farms. And by the way, those farms are the backbone of South Africa's food supply. And they're being taken over not by black farmers, but by black Marxist activists and politicians and their thugs, which means South Africa is going to go the way of Zimbabwe. You are going to see food shortages and eventually you're going to see starvation. But it doesn't matter. Communism does what communists do. And so they are now going after these white people. Now Trump has said, we will recognize you as refugees. You are welcome to enter the United States. On Monday, at Dulles Airport in Washington, D.C., 59 white South Africans came to the airport as legitimate refugees. And the one thing that struck me right away is their families. It's women with children, usually with a husband or a father. In other words, genuine refugees, not columns of young men pouring into our country illegally as was done under Biden, but legitimate husbands, wives, fathers, mothers with young children. And they arrived, all of them smiling, all of them waving the American flag. If they could kiss the ground, they would. 59 Afrikaners, 59 white South Africans is too much for the Democrats, for the media, and for the libs. According to them, I'm not kidding, this is discrimination. This is racism. White South Africans should not be allowed to come into our country. Why? Because of the color of their skin. Now the left is livid. How dare you say white people are the victims of genocide or persecution, especially from a black majority? That doesn't fit the entire woke narrative. How dare you say that the quote-unquote descendants of white supremacists have a right to enter America? One white person coming in as a refugee is one white person too many. Listen now to Al Sharpton, the non-reverend Al Sharpton. I thought he was going to get a conniption. Sharpton went absolutely berserk on MSNBC, saying how dare they bring in white South Africans as refugees into the United States. Roll cut 31, a mic.
I've talked to some people that been at the protest, and he's still in custody, wherever. But I think that the problem here is that you're talking about the mayor of a city where people are being held without due process in many cases.
Right.
So he has the right to say, wait a minute, I want to know what's going on here. Why are people being held without due process? Now, you contrast that. At the same time, the New York Times is saying that President Trump is saying to white Afrikaners from South Africa, I'll give you refugee status. So we're bringing in white Afrikaners who we don't know if they're criminal. We don't know this, what they went through in the legal process in South Africa. But people right here in Newark, we're going to assume they're all criminal. We're going to bring them out. And if the mayor wants to say, wait a minute, let's have due process, lock him up. He's trespassing. It is as blatantly a double standard as one can get.
Unbelievable. I mean, really, this guy's got nothing between his ears. I mean, really, even by MSNBC standards, this is beyond stupid. First of all, the one in Newark, the ICE detention facility, literally, people inside there are convicted MS-13 gangbangers, convicted child molesters, convicted drug traffickers. I don't know what this guy's talking about. Now, these white Afrikaners, they're not young men who are coming in a column, crossing the border illegally. That's an invader. That's what a column of young men illegally pouring across your country. These aren't refugees. These are foreign invaders. And they're not sneaking in. They're not coming in illegally. They registered as required by law. We know all of their names. They have been fully identified. They have had thorough background checks. They have been thoroughly vetted. So they have done everything the right way, and they are genuinely being persecuted. I don't know, being murdered for the color of your skin, being raped for the color of your skin, having everything you own taken away from you without compensation. By the way, communists do that all over the world. That's what they did to my grandfather. They took him. They took his farm, his small little farm. They just took it all. And they didn't give us a penny for it. They just took it because they want to take. Now, and because Trump is allowing them to enter as legitimate refugees, suddenly now Trump is a white supremacist. Trump is a racist. What they're really saying is that it's okay to discriminate against whites. What the left and the Dems are openly now saying is there has to be a racial litmus test. Okay, the sound and fury is only growing now at President Trump for his decision to admit white South African farmers, Afrikaners as they're commonly known, into the United States as refugees. 6:18 here on the great WRKO. Honestly, I got to tell you, I have never, ever seen such blatant anti-white hatred from the so-called political media elites in our country. It's disgusting. Look, it's very clear now that the only group that you can be an open racist against are whites. And they're proving it now. That's why this is such a watershed discussion and such a watershed issue. Let me just give you an example. Don Lemon, Don Lemon, as he likes to call himself now, from former host on This Is CNN, went on the warpath on his podcast, attacking the Trump administration, saying how dare they take in these white. By the way, we're talking about 59. So far, the first flights that have come in, it's 59 white South African farmers. 59. The way these people are talking, you would think this is like, 59,000. It's not even 60. It's 59 white people from South Africa. All of them families. Many of them women and children. Clearly terrorized. Clearly victims of persecution. There's no question about it. And being targeted simply because of the color of their skin by these black radical communist thugs who have now taken over a post-apartheid South Africa and are driving that country right into the ground. Okay, but let that go. So he's now accusing Trump of racism. Why? Because he dares to bring in whites from South Africa. Quote, this is what he said. This South African farmer, I can't say the word, bull, you know what? This South African farmer, BS, which is the most blatantly obvious racist, I can't say the word, crap, ever. Trump is a racist for bringing in racists. Now, notice, by the way, Nicole Wallace on MS Left BC, I could play you the cut, I don't want to waste your time, said, these are descendants of white supremacists. How dare we let them into the United States? First of all, just number one, many white South Africans opposed apartheid. It's one of the key reasons why that racist system came down. So you're just assuming that every white South African's mother or father or ancestors were somehow supportive of the apartheid system. That's not true. That's a lie. Okay? That's number one. Number two, think of now the way they're thinking and talking. Since when are the sins of the father the sins of the son? Since when are the sins of the mother the sins of the daughter? You start talking like this, I could say, well, you can't bring in anybody from Japan. Why? Well, look what they did during the 1930s and the 1940s. They had themselves a fascist regime. I could literally, we shouldn't take anyone from the former Soviet Union. Why? They had communism for 70 years. They're the descendants of communists. I mean, do you know how stupid it is to argue and talk like this in such broad generalities about an entire group of people? You don't know these people individually. And again, it's racism. What they're saying is every white South African is a white supremacist. That's a lie. And the deeper implication is all whites are white supremacists, which is another lie and a smear. Now, it is getting so bad. Listen now to this, that a prominent Democrat influencer, okay, she's a black progressive, is now vowing and urging others in the liberal community, Antifa, Black Lives Matter, supporters of AOC and Bernie and Elizabeth Warren, to quote unquote hunt down these 59 white refugees that have been admitted into the United States and to kill them. In South Africa, one of the most common political slogans now from the government in power, which is full of Marxist thugs, and an opposition which is even more radical and more racist than the current government in power. I mean, these are genuine black Nazis, black supremacists. Their political slogan is kill the Boer, B-O-E-R, as in kill the white farmer. That's the term they used to use for them, the Boer. They either go kill the Afrikaner or kill the Boer. And so what they do is, especially in the countryside, you will see these mobs of communist or Marxist thugs in packs going around and on white farms or near white farms, and they're chanting, kill the Boer, or kill the Afrikaner, kill the Afrikaner. And then they will storm the farm and either smash their heads in or shoot them or stab them, murder them, and then literally just take over the entire farm. It's systematic racial, ethnic cleansing, murder, and persecution. Now, listen to Yamiche Al-Sindor from MSNBC. What is infuriating the left is, A, that Trump's letting in white people as refugees, because remember, whites are supposed to be, quote, privileged. They're always the oppressor. They're never the oppressed. They can never be oppressed. That, by the way, that explains a lot of the anti-Semitism that you're seeing from the left, because Jews are white people. So no, Jews can't be oppressed. Jews always have to be the oppressor. The Palestinians are the oppressed. They're the oppressors. So white people, no, they're never victims. They're always the colonialists, the oppressors, the dictators, the evil people. Listen now to her saying, how dare we allow in 59 white refugees? And how dare you say that blacks in South Africa are committing genocide against whites? No, you can't say that. Roll cut 32, Mike.
Trump administration there saying that essentially these white South Africans assimilate better and they're also not as much of a security risk. That's really causing a lot of people to be appalled, frankly. And I also should tell people that this violence that they're talking about that are dealing with these Afrikaners, I've been hearing from people that say there is violence in South Africa, but it's affecting everybody of every single race.
Yeah, there is mass violence, mass crime. Post-apartheid South Africa is a failure and a disaster. It's a disaster because they've essentially embraced leftism, Marxism, and communism. 617-266-6868 is the number. The media, I cannot overstate how livid and furious, angry they are with Trump over this decision now to allow 59, and it is 59, white South African farmers as refugees into the United States. Now, there's going to be more. Thousands and thousands more are going to be coming. These are predominantly farmers. They're highly skilled in terms of their job skills, their ability to work the land. They also, many of them speak not just English, but they speak multiple other languages. They're going to be, I believe, a tremendous asset to the United States. They're very hardworking, very hardworking. By the way, all of them have already found jobs. Not one that landed yesterday is going to be on welfare for a day. They've all been vetted, every single one of them. We know all their names, their ID. We know their backgrounds. And these people, all of them, you saw them, if you saw the pictures, waving the American flag, extremely grateful to be here, and women and children. It was predominantly women, children with their husbands or fathers. In other words, refugees, the way refugees have looked like for thousands of years. Now, just very quickly, I want to read two texts, and then I want to go right to the phone lines. 617-266-6868 is the number. This is from 508. Jeff, when all the white farmers from South Africa have left, these people will starve. No question. And what to me is shocking is this already happened in what used to be called Rhodesia, was renamed as Zimbabwe. They literally, exact same thing. They drove out all the whites, all the white farmers in particular, confiscated, seized their land, no compensation. Many of them expelled at gunpoint, many others persecuted, driven out, murdered. It was ethnic cleansing. And Zimbabwe now has been an absolute disaster. Famine, starvation. It went from a first world to a third world country in less than 10 years. That's South Africa now is repeating. And by the way, crime everywhere in Zimbabwe. Everywhere. South Africa is literally repeating that pattern. Post-apartheid South Africa has been a complete and utter failure. So this notion that a black majority does not discriminate or even commit genocide against a white minority is a complete liberal fiction. It is a lie. It has happened before. It has happened actually many times before. Not to demonize blacks, far from it. I always say this. People are people. Whites are people. Blacks are people. Latinos are people. Asians are people. You have good people. You have bad people. But this idea that whites hold some kind of a monopoly on evil or oppression is a complete lie. If you know anything about history whatsoever. And frankly, Asians have committed unbelievable atrocities against other fellow Asians or other minorities. Again, good people, bad people. I'm just stating the obvious. Now, 508 is dead on. South Africa already is having food supply issues. You wait till they drive out the last Boer. Or as they call, the slogan is, kill the Boer, kill the Boer. Well, you kill the Boer, you're killing your own food supply. You're basically killing your own country. One more, and then I want to go to the phone lines. And I think this is a beauty. I mean, this is literally the debate that we're now having. And it's from 781. Jeff, under Joe Biden, over 10 million third world illegal aliens poured into America in 4 years. What was the liberal media's response? This is a nation of immigrants. Now, 50 white refugees from South Africa are allowed in. What is the media's response? This is not who we are. Bingo. Bingo. They're now saying Trump is a racist for daring to let in these white South Africans and that he's allowing them in to create a white I swear to you, to create a white supremacist country. And by spreading this smear, this libel, this lie, that 59 white South Africans is the beginning of the Fourth Reich, you now have, I'm getting story after story. And by the way, and libs on TikTok are exposing all of them. Black Lives Matter activists, Antifa activists, Democrat activists saying, we're going to hunt down. Another one just came out and said, we're going to hunt the 59 refugees down. We're going to get their names and addresses, and we're going to kill them. I mean, this is disgusting. This is anti-white bigotry, anti-white hatred, anti-white discrimination on full display. And the Democrats and the media are so racist, they don't even see it. Agree, disagree, 617-266-6868. Dave, our Western PA constitutionalist correspondent. Thanks for holding, Dave, and welcome.
Good morning, Mr. Kuhner. How you doing, sir?
Very good, Dave. Honestly, I'm just happy I'm not in South Africa. Because I'd either be dead or homeless. Because they took my land and my home. But let that go, Dave. Go ahead.
Jeff, let me begin with some common sense. Who said this at the famous Washington, D.C. rally? Judge me upon the content of my character, not my skin color. And get this, Jeff, the man that said this, I know this is going to hurt Jasmine Crockett and AOC and all you far-left morons. The good, holy man, the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., who was a Republican. Oh, my God, Jeff, let's watch them go apoplectic and burn themselves at the stake, Jeff. I come from Salem originally, Jeff. I know all about that. But leave that, but let that go to quote you, my buddy. And the second thing, Jeff, you Democrats out there, like the Bills in Sudbury, you people are filled with vitriolic, venomous hate. And I know, Jeff, I got to speak in syllables because the liberals aren't that bright. Syllables. You know what a syllable is? Go back to school.
Dave, I want to ask you point blank, should we be allowing these white South African farmers, should we be giving them refugee status and allowing them to enter and live and work in our country?
Jeff, without due respect, I'm not trying to go against you, but I don't care if they were black like Dr. King. They're people that are suffering in another country, and they're going to come here and work hard. I'm like living on the dole, like these illegal Democrats. It's no fun being an illegal alien. Listen to Phil Collins from Genesis once in a while. They are illegal. These people are suffering irreparable harm. They're getting killed because of what they are. I mean, Jeff, let's turn the tables for a minute. What if I said, and I'm not saying this so liberals, don't get all confused. If I said I'm going to go out and kill some Antifa and BLM in the Pittsburgh area, Jeff, I would be, oh my God, that's defamation of character. They'd be coming at me life and limb, Jeff. But I'm not like that. But if they do come after me, Jeff, as a former Marine, bro, I'm going to defend myself. Okay, Jeff, 100% BLM Antifa. You want to start with the Marine? We're life takers and heartbreakers, baby. So guess what? You want to do the rock and roll? Jeff, I'll tell you this. As a Marine, a former U.S. Marine vet, I love everybody. I had Marines that were Native American, Marines that were black, purple, green, yellow, blue. You know, and Jeff, they're all my brothers to this day. So guess what? Racism doesn't even come into play. That's just a BS excuse that liberals have been using since the dawning of the age of Aquarius, Jeff.
Oh, you're dead on. And that's what Trump said yesterday. Again, it was incredible. He has one of the most important deals that's ever been cut with the government of Saudi Arabia. It's an historic tour of the Middle East with, historic consequences. First, they're going on about the plane, that stupid plane from Qatar. And then they're going on about this. How dare 59 refugees. How dare you bring them in? How dare you bring? This is racism. This is white supremacy. And as Trump said, I don't care if they're white. I don't care if they're black. I don't care about their height, their weight. Okay, let me ask all of you, should we be admitting white South African farmers as refugees into the United States? Trump has signed an executive order allowing such a thing to happen. The first flight came in on Monday. 59 of them have arrived, all of them smiling ear to ear, waving the American flag. They're obviously very, very happy to be here, very grateful to be here. The left, however, the media in particular, the corporate media, the fake news media, they are on the warpath. They're saying this is racism. Trump is a racist, and he's only bringing them in because he wants to revive white supremacy in the United States. That's their argument. My question to you, agree, disagree? John in Dunstable. Thanks for holding, John, and welcome.
Thanks for taking my call.
My pleasure, John.
Jeff, what color are the people from Ukraine? They're white, correct? They're as white as the South African white farmers.
Yes.
But the problem, Jeff, is that the white African farmers don't fit their narrative. I mean, you have people, thousands and thousands of Ukrainian people in this country, and the American people flying their flags on their houses. They don't have American flags. They have Ukrainian flags. I'm going to tell you, Jeff, over in Africa, the government over there massacres their own people. When I say that, I mean blacks, whites, whatever's in their way, priests, and once these, I mean, the diamond mines. Hershey's got a big manufacturing company over there. The diamond mines are armed to the teeth, and you go anywhere near those places, you're machine gunned down, and you're left for food for the wild animals. And that's the truth, Jeff. That's what happens over there. And China has been colonizing that country for years, and the only reason they didn't invade it because they want the minerals, Jeff, in that country. And the only reason they didn't is because of America. And if I was to bet, I bet China's behind pushing all this onto the people of the African people. And they're screwed, Jeff, because once those farmers leave, I mean, the poverty over there is unbelievable. There's a lot of money coming out of Africa, but it's only going to a few people. The people are starving in Africa. And once those farmers are gone, that's going to turn into, that country will be totally destroyed because they will have no food at all. And I feel bad for the African people, these idiots in the United States making the threats that they're making and telling the trash BLM to kill people. Why aren't they being arrested, Jeff? If I made a threat, I would be arrested and thrown in jail, for God knows how long. And I don't understand how these politicians get away with what they're doing. I try to put it in my mind. I just can't figure it out.
Well, no, look, because I'll tell you what's going on, John. And by the way, you were very eloquent and I thought very powerful, and you're dead on. China is slowly colonizing Africa, especially South Africa. They want the minerals, they want the wealth, they want the land, they want the diamonds, they want the whole thing. And they're funding the Marxists who are now in power in South Africa. It's a group of left-wing communist political thugs. And by the way, South Africa now, it's a complete social breakdown. Yes, there's violence everywhere. Yes, there's no question. And blacks are being killed in huge numbers. By the way, much higher numbers now than ever under apartheid South Africa. It was horrible. Apartheid South Africa was horrible. Don't get me wrong. But, I mean, they're dropping like flies. And people are being murdered left, right, and center. The difference is that whites as a group are being deliberately targeted because of their skin color. And it's being egged on and supported by communist China. Why? Because they want the whites gone, because they're the ones who want to scoop up the land and the resources. And of course, give a cut to the communists who are now running the country in South Africa. So what's going on there is really, it's beyond repulsive. And look, I mentioned Rhodesia, literally the same thing. You had a white minority that ran a racist system against blacks. They lose power. And instead of building on that wealth, because Rhodesia was a first world country for all of its flaws and sins, It had modern roads. It had modern hospitals. It had modern schools. It had a thriving economy. It was much richer, even for many blacks who got, had decent jobs, than almost any other country in Africa except for South Africa. And it was turned into Zimbabwe. They renamed the country. Fine. And then you had Marxist dictator come to power, Mugabe, Robert Mugabe, and he looted the place. I mean, just looted it. And he drove the country into the ground, and he expelled all of the whites, murdered many of them, took their homes, took their farms. Zimbabwe's economy is now one of the worst in the world. It is a hellhole with periodic food shortages and starvation. They're literally going hungry. So, and South Africa is very close to Zimbabwe. So they know what happens when you get rid of all these farmers. And they're still doing it anyway. That to me is what's incredible. And you look at Africa itself, leave aside now the whole black-white racial issue, Zimbabwe or South Africa. Look at Somalia. Look at Ethiopia. I could go country after Liberia. It's famine after famine after famine. Millions and millions die constantly because they have lack of food. It's a continent plagued by hunger and starvation and famine and war and violence. And what are you doing? You're driving out the one class of people that literally keeps the food supply going in your country? You're nuts. You're mad. You're crazy. Now, please, don't take my word for it. Look at the EFF. That's one of the big opposition parties. Okay? Look at the thugs who lead it. Just click on YouTube or just click President of South Africa and say, let me just go through one of his speeches. Look at how wild-eyed they are. Their eyes are wide open. Look at the hatred on their face. Look at them openly saying, kill the Boer, kill the Boer. It's time to kill them all. And they and go out there. Come on, kill a Boer today. Go kill a white person. And they go out there and they hunt them down like animals. That's why they all want. Look, I'm telling you, every white person is going to leave South Africa. It's not a question of if, it's a question of when. They can see the writing on the wall. Now, who's going to get shafted in the end? These whites, I'm telling you, are going to be phenomenal immigrants. You take it to the bank. They're going to be like the Cubans who fled communist Cuba. Or like the Venezuelans who fled, Chavez. Okay, they're going to come here, they're going to work, and they're going to build, and they're going to contribute, and they're going to prosper, and they're going to succeed. The black majority that's left behind, those poor people, they're the ones who are going to go hungry. They're the ones whose bellies are going to swell from starvation. It's not going to be the political elites. It's not going to be the leaders. They're going to get fat and rich. But the overwhelming majority are going to suffer like they've never suffered before. And these idiots here in the media, this is what I find incredible. To me, this is the story. The story is that Democrats, and I'm talking about leading media outlets, are openly saying, why should we allow white people? We don't want white people. We should not admit a single white person into the United States who comes from South Africa. How much more racist can you be? Here, let me just play this cut. Here. I mean, I could do this all day. I don't want to bore you, but here it is. Okay? This is Ashley Allison. She was on This Is CNN. So this was CNN. I believe it was last night. And they're yelling, screaming. You should have seen the panel. The whites were, foaming at the mouth. The white liberals. The liberals on that panel, whether they were white or black, foaming at the mouth. How dare he bring them in? 59 is 59 too many. So listen now to her saying, don't tell me there's a genocide in South Africa. You can't say that. No. If the whites in South Africa don't like it, that they're being murdered, that their homes and farms are being seized and confiscated, leave. Leave. And then Scott Jennings says, well, that's what they're doing. No, not to our country. We don't want you here. Go back to Germany. Go back to the Holland. Go back to originally where you came from. But you don't dare come to America. Roll cut 35. Mike.
The people who are native to that land deserve their rightful land back. That is not what the Afrikaners actually want to have happen, which are the white Africans, and so who are not originally from Africa, who colonized South Africa also. And so that is what they are saying is discrimination. Now, if the Constitution in South Africa is discriminatory, they have their checks and balances in that land just like we do. And that is for them to, so if the Afrikaners don't actually like the land, they can leave that country.
They are. They're leaving to come here.
No.
These refugees are coming here.
They can actually leave and go to where their native land is, which is probably Germany.
Are you against them coming here?
Holland, probably. Holland?
Yes, of course they're against them coming here. Now, to show you how stupid she is, and John, I'm going to come right back to you. Almost none of them came from Germany. That's how dumb they are. No, they want to say Germany only because Nazi. They came under Hitler. Okay, that's how stupid these people are. Most of them came from what is today the Netherlands, Holland. They're of Dutch ancestry, a little bit French. There were some French settlers as well. And by the way, they were there for over 400 years. 400 years. So this has been going on for quite a long time. Okay? But let that go. Now, 400 years later, this is the attitude. You don't like it? Leave. Leave. But don't come here. Go back to Germany, where none of you ever came from. So, okay, go back to the Netherlands. What, you think the Netherlands is going to take them? That was over 400 years ago. They've been South Africans for 400 years. They're not going anywhere. Now, did you catch what she said? This is the chilling part. This is a top aide to Biden and Harris. Mike, replay the cut, please. Okay? Please, you have to listen to this. I want to replay it because this is unbelievable. Roll cut 35 again, Mike.
The people who are native to that land deserve their rightful land back. That is not what the Afrikaners actually want to have happen, which are the white Africans, and so who are not originally from Africa, who colonized South Africa.
Stop it right there. And stop it right there. She is saying, take their land. No, you don't have a right to your land. You don't have a right to your home. You don't have a right to your property. You don't have a right to your farms. You guys are all colonialists. You guys are all oppressors. The natives, i.e. these black Marxist thugs, they have a right to claim the land. You guys were there. You colonized. You took the land. Now they want the land back. Get lost. So she's actually justifying communist confiscation of homes, land, and property. These people are sick. And by the way, just so that you understand, it's not as if it's black farmers taking over the property of white farmers. These are all political thugs and apparatchiks. These are gangs who are taking it over for certain powerful political warlords in that country. They don't know how to work the land. They don't know how to grow crops. They have no idea how to build modern agriculture. That's why already now food production is down. Food supply is down already. So, in other words, we're going to try to undo what happened 400, 500 years ago, in their mind, by taking from people who know and have experience and are the backbone of your food supply, who are feeding all of you, and we're going to give it now to these Marxist communist radicals who are just there to essentially steal people's wealth and property in the name of, quote, racial justice, quote unquote. Ay, ay, ay. Ay, ay, ay. Now, look, to me, people are people. Honest to God, I'm with Donald Trump on this all the way. Listen, I support refugees coming in from all over the world. I don't care if you're black. I don't care if you're brown. I don't care if you're Arabic. I don't care if you're Jewish. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care if you're Asian. I don't care. I supported the South Vietnamese coming to America. I supported the Hmong who were being persecuted by communism coming to America. The Cubans coming in, the Venezuelans coming in. I could go, the Nicaraguans who were fleeing, the Sandinistas. I could go on and on. Black Christians, I've been defending them in Nigeria for I don't know how many years now. They are being systematically murdered and cleansed by the Muslim militants in that country. And they are legitimate refugees who are, by the way, phenomenal immigrants on top of everything else. So I don't care if you're black, brown, white, whatever. A refugee is a refugee is a refugee. But this is sick. This is take their land, take everything they have, shoot them, kill them, rape them, and if they don't like it, blank off to Germany, which they have nothing to do with, or blank off to the Netherlands, or Holland as it used to be called, which they haven't been to in nearly 500 years. But because of the color of their skin, don't you allow them to come into America. Now, one last point, and I promise I'm going back to you, John. During the heyday of the KKK, and again, Democrat organization, controlled and run by the Democrat Party through and through, when Southern blacks complained, when they were being lynched, when their property or homes were being confiscated, when their women were being raped or they were being murdered, exactly what's happening to these Afrikaners. Whenever they complained, you know what the Democrats told them? The same thing they're saying today. You don't like it? Leave. Go back to Africa. You don't like it? Go. Who needs you here? Get lost. You're not native to this continent. Get lost. Go back to Africa. Now, that's exactly the same argument they made against blacks that they're now making against whites. So this history of virulent racism permeates the Democratic Party from its inception. And now, instead of hating blacks, they're now hating whites. And notice, all the Democrats know how to do, this is what I find, to me, it's one of the most disgusting parties in the history of the world. Honest to God, that's why I can't wait to see this party finally collapse. All they ever do is play the race card. Again and again and again. That's all they do. They always polarize, divide along racial lines. They always want to balkanize. Pit white against black, or white against Hispanic, or Asian against black, or Jews against Palestinians, or Palestinians against Jews. That's all they know how to do. It's divide and conquer. And the consequences be damned. That they're poisoning race relations in this country like they've poisoned race relations all over the world. People are people. A refugee is a refugee. And these white South Africans are definitely refugees. Agree, disagree? John, final word to you.
Jeff, well, the only thing I can say is these people that are saying go back to your home country. Maybe they should check their ancestry and find out where they came from and be the first ones on the plane head back. I mean, all this is destruction of the United States of America, Jeff. That's all it is. That's all these people want, and I don't think they're going to get it, but there is still a slim possibility of it.
Well, John, look, that's why, to me, we're the last line of civilization. We really are. This is primitive. What you're seeing now, this is primitive. This is the stuff of the Stone Age. You know, imagine, no, really, if this was our answer to every criticism made by the Democrats. Here, to AOC. Go back to Peru. Go back. Go back to where your ancestors came from. Go back to the Aztec Empire. What if I said that to her? I'd be off the air. Really, what if I said that to, here, she's black. I mean, I don't know where, I don't know much about her, but this Ashley Allison. Here, what if I said to her, no, you go back to Africa. No, go back. You don't like things under Trump? Go back to Africa. Never mind, let's just say, black people are systematically being murdered and their homes are being confiscated and taken and looted and their black women are being raped. Just imagine if this was going on. Hey, you don't like it? Go back to Africa. Which is exactly what the KKK and the Democrats did and said, in the 19th century. My point just is, if I said that to her, she would find it absolutely abhorrent and appalling. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, it's Wednesday, 7:19-ish. You know what that means. Truth or troll? Take it away, Sandy.
And now, America's favorite game show, where you get to decide on the Kuhner Report. This is Truth or Troll.
So this week's Truth or Troll has to do with a video that President Trump put out telling illegal aliens to self-deport. We give them free flights and everything if they get out. And if they do, then they can come back in. Or at least that's what he says in the cut.
So to all illegal aliens, book your free flight right now. We want you out of America, but if you're really good, we're going to try and help you get back in. Thank you.
Now, does he mean this? Or, to be honest with you, is he trolling the illegals? Is this like a gotcha? I don't know.
No, I think he's trolling, to be honest, Sandy. Wink, wink. Yeah, we're going to help you come right back in.
Well, I want everybody to vote.
Yes.
And they can tell us whether they think
he's
telling the truth or is he just playing like a cat with a mouse
Exactly.
with the illegals.
Exactly. Truth or troll, let me ask all of you, when he says, to the illegals, leave and we'll do everything we can to help you come back in legally. Is he A, trolling, which I think he is? In other words, yeah, just get out. Wink, wink. Yeah, just whatever. Yeah. Well, yeah, of course, sure. We'll let you come back in legally. Sure. Or do you think he's sincere and he's telling the truth? I want to hear from you. A, troll, B, truth. You can vote on our webpage, WRKO.com/Kuhner, WRKO.com/Kuhner, KUHN as in National ER. You can also vote via X, my handle there, all one word, at the Kuhner Report, KUHN as in National ER. Okay, liberals, the entire fake news media, it's been dominating coverage now for over a day, even haunting Trump, following Trump, first in Saudi Arabia, he's now in Qatar. All they're asking about now is the plane or these 59 South African white refugees. Should we admit these South Africans into our country? And is Trump a racist or a white supremacist for allowing them to come in? The liberals say yes. I say they're insane. Russ in Boston, what say you? Thanks for holding, Russ, and welcome. Hello, Russ?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Russ.
Jeff.
Let her rip, baby.
Okay. All right. Jeff, the truth must be told, okay? The Democratic Party comrades, okay, they're communists. There's no question about it, okay? They reject legitimate refugees. Legitimate refugees and their children become grateful, patriotic Americans. Two great examples in this country is Marco Rubio and Ted Cruz, who their family fled communism in Cuba, without question, okay? Now, the Democratic Party wants to import criminals and people who refuse to assimilate. The Democratic Communist Party wants to divide and conquer by creating chaos. And to those who vote for the Democrats, the Democratic Communist Party, wake up and face reality. Your shepherds are evil, and stop being their useful idiots.
Russ, I agree with you 1,000%. Let me ask you, just to play devil's advocate, what do you say to the argument? Because this is what the Democrats are now claiming, and this is what the media is claiming, that Trump is allowing these people from South Africa, all 59 of them, only because they're white. That if they weren't white, he wouldn't care, and he wouldn't let them in. And the reason why he's letting them in, according to them, is he's creating his own racial or racist army. What say you?
You know what I say to them, Jeff? Go F yourself, you lying SOBs.
Russ, thank you very much for that call. I really appreciate it. You know, sometimes blank you is the only answer. Larry in Leominster. Thanks for holding, Larry, and welcome.
Jeff, what's Trump thinking? Have we learned nothing from the past? We let a South African in. He went berserk. He started making jobs, hiring people, creating billions of dollars, revenue for the country. Insanity.
You mean Elon Musk, right? Larry, are you shocked that so many in the media and the Democrats are so open and honest about their racism, their hatred for white people?
Jeff, this is a level of self-hatred we haven't seen in a while. You think Chuck Schumer and all the other liberal Jewish people just hate themselves and hate their heritage. We've got, is this Stockholm Syndrome? We have white people hating the fact that white people are coming into the country, productive ones. They've been using this whole line that if we get rid of all the illegals, there's no one to work the fields and pick the crops and all this stuff. We're bringing in farmers.
Oh, that's a great point. You're dead on. I mean, you want people to, pick your crops and work the land. There's no one better than these white Afrikaners. I mean, it's just, you're dead on, Larry. Larry, let me ask you this. Is this going to hurt the Democrats politically? A lot of people are saying now this anti-white racism is going to turn a lot of people off.
Well, Jeff, it's that 80-20 rule that's been going on where 20%, I think on this subject is going to be less, have some sense of sanity, and the others are just going berserk and showing their true colors, which I support fully because, just let them keep burying themselves.
Oh, I agree. Sunlight is the best disinfectant. Okay, a lot of reaction on the text line, and of course on the emails coming in to the Kuhner Man. This is from 917. You can text us 70470 70470. Jeff, there are massive farm murders against whites in South Africa. Their land is being confiscated. Recently, there was a huge rally in which 100,000 black Marxist radicals were chanting for white genocide. This was in South Africa. And yet the same liberals in this country who cheer unlimited third world illegal immigration now condemn the United States because of the arrival of 50 white farmers. You literally can't make this up. I agree. I completely agree. This is from 617. Jeff, liberals are so filled with rage and hatred in South Africa toward whites that they are essentially committing suicide. No farms, no food. No food equals starvation and death. Well, that's the ruling party. And the opposition, if you can believe it, is even worse. More militant, more extreme, more radical. This is from 512. Jeff, Democrats should just admit they hate white people and be done with it. I agree. I agree. And just to bounce off of that, here's another one. This is from 917. Jeff, you are 1,000% correct. Scott Jennings on CNN last night exposed every Democrat on CNN for being against 50 white Christians, but they support 20 million illegals. The Democrat Party is collapsing in front of our eyes. Okay, now there is another very prominent influencer. This is on Libs of TikTok. They've now found another one. She's a BLM activist. And she now has come out and said that Trump is, quote unquote, building a racist army because he's bringing in 59 white South Africans here as refugees. So what, 59 white refugees is suddenly a quote unquote racist army? By the way, these are farmers. You can't make this up. You can't make this up. MSNBC now, guest after guest. One of them went on yesterday saying that Trump is now, quote unquote, leading a white nationalist movement. How is he leading a white nationalist movement? Because he's bringing in 59 white Afrikaners as refugees. So 59 is now a Nazi, white supremacist, white nationalist, racist army. And this is what passes for commentary on the media today? That's what I mean. The blatant anti-white racism and hatred. It's unbelievable. By the way, just to show you how shocking it is, because we get so numb to it after a while, imagine if they said, really, 59 Jews? 59 Jews? Is 59 too many Jews? Not in Deutschland. What's the difference? Really, honestly, what's the difference? To show you when they attack conservatives as being fascist, it's all projection. It's all projection. Except in their eyes, whites are the new Jews. Okay, and this is an absolutely dynamite text. 508. Jeff, the media in the schools and the popular culture along with Hollywood have been on this, quote, white people are bad, unquote, movement for quite some time. Kids are actually saying they are ashamed to be white. Where does that come from? It's brainwashing. Well, and this is part of it. This is part of it. They're acting like these people are lepers. They're just hardworking, innocent farmers who've lost everything. And frankly, they're lucky to be alive. They're lucky they weren't murdered. Okay, Trump was confronted about this. Again, historic trip to the Middle East. They don't want to talk about the incredible economic deals, investment deals, political partnerships, everything now that he's forging in the Middle East. It's almost miraculous in the last 24 to 48 hours. No. First it was the plane. Now it's the white South African farmers. So Trump finally had it, and he ripped into the media saying, why aren't you reporting or writing about the genocide that is now taking place against whites in South Africa? Roll cut 30, Mike.
They're being killed, and we don't want to see people be killed. Now, South Africa leadership is coming to see me, I understand, sometime next week. And, we're supposed to have a G20 meeting there or something. But we're having a G20 meeting. I don't know how we can go unless that situation's taken care of. But it's a genocide that's taking place that you people don't want to write about. But it's a terrible thing that's taking place. And farmers are being killed. They happen to be white. But whether they're white or black makes no difference to me. But white farmers are being brutally killed, and their land is being confiscated in South Africa. And the newspapers and the media, television media, doesn't even talk about it. If it were the other way around, they talk about it. That would be the only story they talk about. And I don't care who they are. I don't care about their race, their color. I don't care about their height, their weight. I don't care about anything. I just know that what's happening is terrible.
He's right. He's completely right. Look, let's be honest. And look, I remember in the 80s growing up, I mean, every second story in the media was about apartheid. And Nelson Mandela. And look, again, apartheid was an abomination. Please don't get me wrong. But he's right. If this was whites, confiscating the land and murdering and persecuting blacks in South Africa, as they did before, this would be everywhere. I mean, it'd be saturation coverage. But now that it's black Marxists, black communists who have taken over South Africa, and they're doing it to white farmers, you don't hear a peep. They don't care. Because in their view, whites can never, ever be the victim. It's racism. Am I wrong? Mel in New York. Thanks for holding, Mel, and welcome.
Yes. Good morning, Jeff.
Hi, Mel.
Good morning. Hi. How are you, Jeff?
I'm just happy I'm not in South Africa, Mel.
Jeff, you with myself as well. And the reason I'll say that, because with the absence of these these farmers who really know how, like you say, to work the land, those that are left behind that are the black African, which China now, you got to realize China is a very racist country. They don't give a darn about those black folk down there because that's just how China's culture is. They do not care for black folks. But the fact of the matter is, the reason why apartheid was implemented and created was to keep the black tribes from warring against one another. That's the reason why apartheid was created, to separate the tribes, the black tribes, the native tribes that were just at each other's throat constantly. So that's the only reason why there was apartheid. It was not because black or white, because you're white, you couldn't be here, or you're black, you couldn't be in a white, I don't know what to say, neighborhood or counties or whatever they've got there. But that was the only reason why apartheid was created, to separate the tribes, because they constantly went to war with one another. But that's, Sandy was asking me, I'm going to give her the answer here in regards to the Preakness field, who I feel who would probably, well, according to the odds, 8-5 in journalism. I mean, he was a bridesmaid to sovereignty, who's not running into Preakness it's Saturday. But that who I feel
interesting, Mel. Listen, look, you're a horse expert. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, a couple lines are open if you want to jump on. Before I go to Carrie in West Bridgewater, I want to ask all of you. It's kind of off topic, but it's generating quite a bit of heat and very tight, by the way, in terms of the poll question of the day. So it's the Kuhner Country poll question of the day, sponsored by Mario's. Mario's quality roofing, siding, and windows. And just so that all of you know, when President Trump was in Saudi Arabia, he went on the stage, and at his official visit, and surprisingly, they did not play the Star-Spangled Banner. They played Lee Greenwood's God Bless America, which, by the way, I love. I love Lee Greenwood's God Bless America. It was also the song that he used for his campaigns, for every campaign or almost every campaign rally. Now, some people are saying nothing against Lee Greenwood, nothing against God Bless America, but that he should have played, or they should have played, the Star-Spangled Banner. It's an official state visit. It's not a rally. He was representing the United States of America, and that's our national anthem. That's the song that should have been played. There are others who say it's a very patriotic song. It's identified with Trump. It's quintessentially Trump. Nothing wrong with playing Lee Greenwood's God Bless America. So I want to ask you, the great audience of Kuhner Country, this is the poll question. Should they have played the Star-Spangled Banner instead of Lee Greenwood's God Bless America when President Trump went on stage during his official visit to Saudi Arabia? So, should they have played the Star-Spangled Banner? A, yes. B, no, i.e. B, it's fine that they played Lee Greenwood's God Bless America. So, A, no, Jeff, they should have played the Star-Spangled Banner. B, it's fine that they played Lee Greenwood's God Bless America. A or B, I want to hear from you. You can vote on our webpage, wrko.com/Kuhner, wrko.com/Kuhner, KUHN as in National ER. You can also vote via X, always active on X, my handle there, at the Kuhner Report, all one word, KUHN as in National ER. I love God Bless America. I think it's one of the greatest songs ever written, ever sung, ever made. God Bless the USA. I'm sorry, God Bless the USA. I think Lee Greenwood's song is, I think, a great American classic. And I do think it's quintessentially Trump and Trumpian. But personally, I'm A on this one. To me, it's an official state visit. I think you play the Star-Spangled Banner. But that's me. I want to hear from you. Again, wrko.com/Kuhner, KUHNER. Should they have played the Star-Spangled Banner? A. B. God Bless the USA was fine, Jeff. I want to hear from you. Carrie in West Bridgewater. Thanks for holding, Carrie, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff.
Hi, Carrie.
Jeff, the Democrats would rather flood this country with millions of unvetted, uneducated, unskilled, non-English speaking illegal aliens because they're easy to control. They're basically importing a new voting bloc for the Democrats, as opposed to 59 white African farmers who are here fleeing basically their own deaths. They were pretty much sentenced to death. The immigrants that Joe Biden allowed into this country were not fleeing persecution. They were fleeing economic hardships, which is not a condition for seeking asylum. Just because you come from a third world country, and I'm not saying I don't have sympathy for people who come from third world countries, but just because you come from a third world country doesn't mean that you should be allowed to come into the United States. You should actually stay and try to fix the problems within your own country. So I have an idea. I think all of that farmland that in the United States that we allowed China to purchase, I think we should take that back by eminent domain and give it to the African farmers.
Oh, Carrie, I love it. I love it. Carrie, I agree with you, by the way. Look, I think these white farmers are going to be a tremendous asset. They're ferociously hardworking. As you said, they know how to farm. They have a lot of skills. They already know English. I think they're going to be very easy to assimilate. And just look at the difference. Look at the attitude of the illegals, how they crossed into our country illegally, snuck in, how ungrateful they are, how many of them are fundamentally anti-American. Many of them are criminals, not all, but many. Criminals, murderers, rapists, moochers, they're all on welfare. All of these Afrikaners, all of them, and even the left has to concede, they already have jobs waiting for them here. Like, they're working today. Today, they're already working. They arrived yesterday. So they're working, they're paying taxes, they're contributing, and every single one of them, you should see it. Just look at the pictures. all of them smiling ear to ear. If they could kiss the ground, they would. All of them waving the American flag. Every single one of them. Now, when I saw that, I'm like, it reminds me of the old, like the older immigrants that used to come, who were so grateful to come to America, who were just itching to contribute, itching to assimilate, itching to make this country truly better. They came to give, not to take. And so I completely agree with you. Carrie, look, this is just the first wave. This is just the first 59. You've got thousands upon thousands upon thousands who want to flee South Africa. Should we let them in? Should it be 59 and it's done? Or should we admit thousands more if they want to flee South Africa and come here as refugees? Would you let them in?
Absolutely. I would vet them and I would let them in because I know that they would contribute. They would not be a drain on our social services, and they would be proud to become a part of the American dream and have a real chance to thrive. And we as Americans, we welcome this. This is the kind of immigration we want, that we like, that we need, not the Democrats' version of immigration, which is just importing parasites and leeches, and it has nothing to do with race. It has everything to do with culture, and it has everything to do with what's good for us. We need to put ourselves and our interests first above all others. I'm sorry, it's true.
Brilliant. Drop the mic. Honestly, drop the mic. My vote for caller of the week, but that's me. Carrie, thank you very, very much for that call. Okay, I don't want to mention the name. It's a friend of mine, law enforcement. That's all I'm going to say. And he just wrote me this, and it's very powerful and it's very moving. And he said, Jeff, he has had an aunt. She passed away. She's buried in South Africa. She was originally from Ireland, but devoted herself. She's a nun. And so she moved to South Africa when she was a teenager, okay, or whatever, teen, early 20s. And this is what he wrote. Jeff, my aunt, who's a nun, dedicated her life to helping the poor blacks in Johannesburg, South Africa. She is buried there. She would always tell us stories of when apartheid ended. And she did say apartheid was awful. She hated apartheid. But when it ended, she said how the soiled nappies, I guess the diapers from the babies, would litter the beach. And she said also that when blacks came to power after apartheid, they would go out and shoot the white farmers. This has been going on for decades. It got so bad that the nuns who took care of the population and were there for their whole life had to learn how to be mechanics, because if their car broke down, they could be raped or murdered. And the little house that the nuns lived in was broken into and the TV was stolen and taken. It was awful. And there was absolutely nothing but chaos and mayhem. And it's only gotten worse over the years. And as he goes on to say, his aunt, nun, would write letters to this person's mother, explaining, especially after apartheid was done, post-apartheid years, how dangerous things became over the years, complete lawlessness and anarchy. And that's exactly what these white farmers are complaining about. Every day, you're putting your life at risk just by getting up in the morning. 617-266-6868. Heidi in Northborough. Thanks for holding, Heidi, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff.
Hi, Heidi.
Excuse me. I watched The Pomp and Circumstance yesterday and how they showed the United States so much respect. They played the Star Spangled Banner once. So to play God Bless America, I think, shows even more respect because it took thought not just to play the same song again, the Star Spangled Banner. I'm so sick of this BS that the media keeps talking about. We have way more important things going on in the U.S. to worry about something so petty.
Heidi, I hear you. How do you feel about these white South Africans coming in?
I have no problem with that. They're contributing to society, and they're not attacking, raping, and murdering any of the legal citizens that are here.
Heidi, what do you say that the media says this is racism on the part of Trump? He's only letting them in because they're white. We shouldn't be allowing or admitting white people into this country. White people are privileged. White people are oppressors, especially those from South Africa. Their ancestors at least were. And so why is Trump, they say Trump's building up a racist white army. Why is he favoring white people? What do you say to that argument?
I think that they're trying to deflect because they're trying to build up their own army of illegals. So they have nothing anymore to rip him apart about. So that's why they're doing all these small little petty things, because he is doing what he said he would do during the election. Inflation isn't coming down, but gas prices are, grocery prices are. He's doing what he promised and the commitments that he made to us, unlike the Democrats who promise us things and then never follow through and do the opposite. So because they're, in my opinion, racist, and they're the ones that are trying to build up their quote-unquote army, they need to accuse him of that so it takes the attention off of them and what they're doing.
Heidi, if I can ask you a personal question, and if I'm getting too personal, please tell me. I promise I won't be insulted. Do you believe that white people now increasingly are viewed the way, say, Jews were in Central Europe or in Eastern Europe 100 years ago, or the way blacks used to be viewed in this country? Are white people now, is there a racism against whites? Because this is what everybody's shocked at, the reaction among Democrats and the media. They are livid that whites are being admitted. They're openly saying it. We don't want white people to come in, period. No, you don't allow white people in. So I'm just curious, do you feel that whites now are the target of racial discrimination in America?
Well, I think that, yes, to put it, bottom line it, yes, I do. I think that it's the same thing when they started to say that men had to be more feminine and couldn't be men. It's just something that they continue to try to tear down each race so that it tries to make them look more powerful and better. At this point, who cares what color we are? Black, white, green, or red. We have a country that's falling apart that needs to be put back together. We have a president in office that's trying to put it back together. Everybody needs to get on the same page and get over all this petty little crap.
Amen. Heidi, thank you very much for that call. Liam in New Hampshire. Thanks for holding, Liam, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeffrey. How are you?
Very good. How are you, Liam?
I am outstanding, dynamite. I'd like to. Kerry jumped me on the idea of taking the land from the Chinese and giving it to those farmers to do their thing with, and also I would say by eminent domain, take the property from Bill Gates as well. He's a Common Core. That guy came up with Common Core, which he's a creature.
And you're saying, take away a lot of his farmland that he's been buying up and give that to the white Afrikaners as well. right.
Oh, yeah. I don't know what he's doing with it, what his plans are, but the man is suspect. Let's put it that way.
Liam, and let me ask you this. To me, it's a blessing that we're admitting farmers. Like, I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, these are skilled, talented farmers who, look, even the left admits they work their rear ends off. These are, up at 4 a.m. and they don't stop working for 14, 16 hours. I mean, they work and they work and they work and they work, and then they go to church on Sunday, and then they work some more. And I mean, that's their, that's their ethic. That's the kind of stock they come from. I mean, Liam, don't we need, we need farmers. Don't we want people who are going to improve our agriculture, our productivity, our food supply? To me, we should be welcoming skilled farmers. Am I wrong, Liam?
No, you're not wrong. And in the parlance of the great Kuhner man, you're 1,000% correct.
Liam, thank you very much for that call. Lisa in New Ipswich. Thanks for holding, Lisa, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff. How are you?
Very good. How are you, Lisa?
I am well. I just wanted to share with you, after President Trump finished his speech yesterday, they played the YMCA song also.
Oh, they did. So, Lisa, what you're saying is the Saudis wanted to wow them. They wanted to respect him. They wanted to treat him really well. They didn't just treat him generically. In other words,
they have a level of respect.
Oh, his people played it. That's what Sandy's telling me. Sandy's saying it wasn't the Saudis who played it. It was Trump's people who played the YMCA song.
Arabia, though, and they control what goes and what doesn't. I think they have a level of respect for this man, and they understand him.
So, Lisa, you think it was a nice touch that they, not just the YMCA song, but that they played the God Bless, Lee Greenwood's God Bless the USA as well, correct?
Correct. Yes. They laid out the lavender carpet for him when he landed. The prince met him right there at the steps. He wore the purple tie. There's a lot of symbolism being played that I think people overlook.
Now, Lisa, please forgive my ignorance. I'm so happy you mentioned this, because I was reading stories and they're like, they didn't just roll out the red carpet. They rolled out the purple carpet. And then they would just move on, to describe how well they treated him and greeted him. And I'm like, what's the purple carpet? I heard the expression, you roll out the red carpet, a la Hollywood or whatever. So what is the significance of having a purple carpet? Please don't think less of me for asking this. I really don't know. I'm a peasant at heart. I don't hobnob with the wealthy elites. So I don't get some of the symbolism of certain things. What's the significance of a lavender or purple carpet and wearing a lavender or purple tie? What does that mean? Is that like even a notch above the red carpet?
It's their level of respect, and respect is the best word I can come up with, but it's their royalty. It's like you said, it's over the red carpet.
Oh, so you're saying purple and lavender is like for royalty. Is that what that is?
Yes.
Oh, see, I didn't know that. You just taught me something now.
Well,
wow. Okay. So they're basically saying, hey, we're treating you not as a president, but like a king.
Essentially, one could say that, but I think the level of respect for President Trump is real. There's no denying these people see something in him that is grand. Do you remember when Biden showed up and they wouldn't meet him there and he wouldn't touch his hand, he only fist bumped him?
That's right. Yeah, no, that's right. No, you're completely right. Well, look, basically, Biden sold him down the river. He sold everybody down the river. They couldn't stand Joe Biden. And it's not just Saudi Arabia. Almost every country outside of Iran, every country in the Middle East is so grateful Trump is back in the White House. So, Qatar, not that I'm a big fan of the regime in Qatar, but I just, during the break, I got all these screens on in my studio here. They're going all out, just like the Saudis. You can see they love him. They respect him. They admire him. This is an incredible visit now across the Middle East. You can see America's prestige, America's authority, America's greatness is back. They're practically bowing to the guy. Okay, now I'm being schooled. I'm being educated now by Kuhner Country. So this is from 603. Kevin was the one who texted this in to me. Jeff, purple is the color of royalty. of kings and queens. Historically, it's a very significant gesture. Where the hell have I been? That's what I want to know. Because I've been reading all this. Yesterday I'm like, they rolled out purple carpet. I'm like, okay. Well, it's not red. I don't understand. And they're like, really a sign of great respect. I'm like, but why? And now I know. And look, you can clearly see the affection that the Saudis and, to be fair, the Qataris have for Trump. But to show you how much the Saudis loved him, it was hilarious. So he basically concludes that forum, that investment forum, and they're playing YMCA. And you see all these rich sheiks dancing to YMCA. And they played God Bless the USA, obviously, when he went on stage. And then Sandy made it a really good point. She said, no, you want to know how much they love him, Jeff? They got him a portable McDonald's, like a mobile McDonald's trailer, because they know how much he loves McDonald's. And so here, you can have it, as on the go. Wherever you want, anytime you want. Just, you want to, he loves, like me. He loves Big Macs, extra sauce, mwah, but let that go. He likes a nice Big Mac, large French fry, watching our waist, a large Diet Coke, and he's a happy man just like me. Well, they wanted to make sure if he ever wants a Big Mac with a large fry, there it is, right for you, my friend. Now that's love. That's love. Andy in Milford. Thanks for holding, Andy, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff, and thank you for taking my call.
My pleasure, Andy.
Jeff, I actually think the letting the Afrikaners in the country is the perfect answer to what we've been through the last 4 years. Joe Biden flooded this country with illegals. This is the perfect answer. Flood this country with people coming here legally and who are going to be grateful to be here. This is perfect. Now, you, my friend, this morning have managed to lay out an absolute indictment of the legacy media in this country. And I think an important aspect of this whole story is the legacy media now is spreading lies and propaganda that, quite frankly, is dangerous if it's not gotten under control. Now, what to do about that? This is what I propose. President Trump's big, beautiful bill that's coming together now in Congress, I think we have an opportunity. Kuhner country, the Steve Bannon's War Room, that audience, InfoWars, that audience, I think we all have an opportunity to come together as an allied forces of sorts and light a fire under the Republicans in Congress to get them to include the restoration of the Smith-Mundt Act right into President Trump's beautiful bill, big, beautiful bill, and just ram it right on through. And I think let today be a formal declaration of war against the legacy media in this country. We're coming for them. We're coming for their lies, their deceptions, and their propaganda. It's going to end now.
Oh, beautiful. Look, Andy, I couldn't agree with you more. I think it's a brilliant suggestion. And I know Trump's people are listening, and I hope now they turn up the volume and listen really hard, because Andy is giving you the strategy to victory. Yes, we need a big, beautiful bill, no question. We got to get this economy booming again. We got to get Americans working again. We've got to drive down inflation. We've got to cut the waste, fraud, and abuse that Elon and Doge have exposed. Yes, 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 yes. But take the Smith-Mundt Act and put it into that bill. Slip it right into that bill. Restore the Smith-Mundt Act, which prevents the media, makes it illegal for both the media and the government to propagandize or engage in propaganda on the American people. And that will be a death blow to the legacy media. So they can't spread their hatred against conservatives. They can't spread their lies about Trump or MAGA. Okay, just very quick, because the lines are blazing and I want to go right back to the phone lines. You know, what I just find striking, and I know I made this point yesterday, but it's so glaring even today. Look at what Trump is achieving in 2 days in the Middle East. Never mind the historic trade deal with China just a couple days ago. The incredible historic deal with the United Kingdom. Again, we're opening up the entire British market now to our automobiles and cars and SUVs for the first time ever. Ever. The British media they're killing Keir Starmer, the Prime Minister, saying he gave away the store to Donald Trump. I mean, we took Britain to the cleaners. I mean, and it's the basis now for at least 24 other trade deals. You've got the stock market now roaring back. The new inflation report. Now inflation is at a 4-year low. Inflation continues, not as much as you would like, I would like, I get it. Yes, it's true. But inflation continues to cool. Gas prices now are dropping like a stone. Groceries now are starting to come down. And remember, this was in the face of unrelentless propaganda. Okay, the propaganda from the legacy media. All throughout April. Thousands of broadcasts. The tariffs. It's going to drive prices through the roof. Historic inflation. Everything's going to cost so much more. Stock market crash. A Great Depression. All of it lies. All of it proven again to be false. He's just, whether you think it's a good idea or a bad idea, he's lifted sanctions now on Syria. That broke this morning. Syria now is saying they want the United States to come in and exploit and develop the gas and oil. They don't have much, but the gas and oil reserves that Syria has. Huge normalization of relations now with the regime in Syria. You've got a massive almost $600 billion investment deal that was just cut in Saudi Arabia. We're talking hundreds of thousands of jobs like this. We're talking now about expanding the Abraham Accords, peace between Israel and potentially now Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, the United Arab Emirates. We're talking now about adding maybe 5 or 6 Arab states to a growing coalition of Arab nations that want to have peace with Israel. I mean, I could just go on and on. He's prescription drugs. I'm going to talk about that with Dr. Grace in 25 minutes. One of the most historic executive orders in the history of the United States. Slashing prescription drug prices for all Americans by 30 to 80%. And again, I can play you the cuts. They're going on again about the plane. Again, that stupid plane from Qatar. And then, of course, 59 Afrikaners. 59. Again, not even 500. Never mind 5,000 or 50,000. 59 white South African farmers. By the way, all of them vetted. All of them registered by law as refugees. We know their names. We know their identities. We've done criminal background checks. All of them have jobs waiting for them here. They're working today. All of them highly skilled farmers who speak very good English and several other languages. 59 farmers. And they're acting like, really, it's a neo-Nazi army. You got to see these idiots on CNN and MSNBC. It's a racist army. It's his white nationalist movement. That's what he's now doing. He's flooding the country with white supremacists. You people are insane. I don't know if you believe this, Drek, or your producers are forcing you to lie like this and propagandize like this. And they're not reporting any of these historic achievements because they know if they do, just report it. Trump's poll numbers are going to go boom. It's all about the big lie. Agree, disagree. Arthur in Chestnut Hill. Thanks for holding, Arthur, and welcome.
Thanks for taking my call, Jeff.
My pleasure, Arthur.
Number one, I wouldn't take the plane anyway because I don't trust any terrorist nation to give me a plane. Too easy to set some kind of bomb in there and blow them up. I don't trust them one inch. Remember to throw opinion about it because I just don't trust the terrorist nation giving me any gift. That's number one. You know, what's been going on in South Africa has been going on for a long time. But the fact that 59 white people had the nerve to try to come in here and actually seek honest asylum, and only 59, you know, it's disgraceful what the news media is. And it's not a news media. How long does it take for us to get rid of a cancer and something that's been destroying this country for all these years? Why do you think everybody hates everybody and hates Trump? It's because of the disgusting thing that they call a media. I mean, that filth that's on TV day after day after day, like The View and MSNBC. Those women on there, they have expressions on their face like they haven't had something for God knows how long. I can't imagine what it is, but however, it's got to stop. And the UN, well, when have they condemned what's been going on in South Africa? How about that international court that sets out warrants for Netanyahu, but not for that evil piece of crap that they're calling for the outright murder, kill white people? I mean, what is wrong is that we tolerate reporting agencies that don't report anything and lie and distort. That is why this country is with all the good things. Unfortunately, Jeff, there are more bad things going on in this country than good things, and the bad things are going to overtake the good things because we have destroyed education for the last 50 years, and where are all the people going to come from to do all these jobs for all this stuff all this investment into this country? I tried for the last 20 years to get people to work, and they're not even fit to sweep a floor, and yet this is what you're left with in this country. It's despicable, and like I said, the reason that they treat Trump the way they do, it's very simple. They respect a man of strength, honesty, and displays leadership, because that's what everybody wants for their country, not the kind of crap that we put up with. And there needs to be investigations, by the way. I'm sorry, I haven't called for a while, so I'm a little all over the place.
No, I understand. But Arthur, can I ask you this, though, because you're on a roll, and you're dead on. They do respect strength and honesty and discipline, and that's what Trump brings. You're completely right. And you can see it. And you're also right about the collapse of the education system over the last 50 years. But I want to go back to something you started with, because I think you really hit the nail on the head. You said, Jeff, maybe the biggest source of our problems is the media. As you put it, the filth in the media. That they lie. That it's all propaganda. That they deliberately divide, misinform, disinform, smear, libel, pit American against American. And then you said about the hatred for Trump, that so much of it comes because of the lies that the media keeps spewing. Arthur, we've got about a minute before the break. Is Trump right when he said the media, the fake news media, is the biggest, greatest enemy of the people of America?
Absolutely. And the trouble is we don't name things the way that we should. It's not a fake media. It's a dishonest, corrupt media. Dishonest. and that's the word that he should call it, not fake. It's caused more deaths and harm that this country has ever known. Why do you think that it was used the way it was during the wars? I mean, propaganda is an incredible tool. Just look at Goebbels and what went on in Nazi Germany. And by the way, you said that Biden brought all these people in. How about Obama? All he did, 98% of the people he flew into this country were all Muslims, and we can't bring in people who would be productive and make this kind of make the country great, like my immigrants and my family and the people who came before me from Europe and countries like.
Oh, you're dead on. No, you're dead on, Arthur. Like the old stock immigrants who came. You nailed it. Eddie in Quincy. Thanks for holding, Eddie, and welcome.
Morning, Jeff.
Hi, Eddie.
Before I start, Jeff, let me just say it was nice to hear Arthur's voice again. A good old-fashioned American.
Yeah, no, I love Arthur. He's one of our best callers. Love him. In a non-sexual way, obviously, Eddie. Yeah. But I love Arthur.
I've got a few ideas for these illegal Afrikaners, as we call them. I think we should send them to Martha's Vineyard. I mean, those nice white liberals down there, it's obvious they love illegals, but they just don't want to live next to them. So there's plenty of room there. Or maybe they could get a record before they come in here and sneak in illegally, or declare themselves as trans and agree to go on welfare. But I look at this Republic of South Africa. There's 59 people. They come here. They're going to be killed if they don't. And Biden brings in people that want to bring murder with them.
You nailed it. I mean, Eddie, it's insane, isn't it? It's like the inmates are running the asylum. And suddenly, and Eddie, by the way, to me, it's just 59 white South African farmers. And suddenly, I could play you the cuts. It's one after another. It's a racist army. 59 is going to conquer 340 million people. Like, what are they smoking over there, Eddie? That's what I want to know.
Jeff, I look at this, the media, we did this for 5 years. I just laugh at them now. I mean, I don't even respond to them. You just laugh at them.
Well, that's what's happening. They're becoming a national laughingstock. I mean, they're becoming a joke, really. It's almost like a Saturday Night Live skit. You watch them now, as you put it, bring out the popcorn and just laugh. And the joke is they're serious. That's the joke. Like, they really believe this? Eddie, thank you very much for that call. Tommy in West Virginia. Thanks for holding, Tommy, and welcome. Hi, Tommy.
Okay, Jeff, all right, so let's go back to, remember the country called Rhodesia that
Yes.
became Zimbabwe?
Yes.
Stevie Wonder wrote a wonderful song about it. Anyway, what happened to the white farmers in Rhodesia?
They got wiped out.
Driven out.
Yes.
They got wiped out, driven out, murdered, you name it. All right. What happened to Rhodesia, which was a major wheat producer? The production went down to where it got to the point where people were starving in Rhodesia. That was a communist revolution. So history repeats itself. Look at China, the great leap forward. What did Chairman Mao do with his farmers? He brought college students from the cities to go and work with the farms, well intended to learn how to increase production of grain. It failed miserably. People starved to death. What did Chairman Mao say? Well, take the bodies and use them for fertilizer. And I'm speaking to the highly educated white liberals from Foxborough, Massachusetts, that I went to high school with. One of my classmates posted this 2 days ago, and I reminded her, a woman who's traveled in over 100 countries, about what happened with Rhodesia. She wouldn't respond to me. Now, let's look at, with regards to Joe Stalin. He did the same thing. He replaced the farmers in the breadbasket of Russia with peasants. What happened? Massive starvation. History repeats itself. Now, with regards to South Africa, when Nelson Mandela was freed in 1990, within a year he divorced his wife, Winnie Mandela. Why did he do that? Because he saw what would happen if you had one man, one vote. In other words, that's the difference between our constitutional republic. We, the majority, cannot supersede the rights of the minority. And he knew exactly what would happen as if his wife had her way. There would be a massive racial war. That's why he got rid of her. And at least in Mandela, who was an avid communist, there's no question about that. And I remember him when he attended the Congress in the United States making his speech, and he called three people his comrades in arms. Muammar Gaddafi of Libya, Fidel Castro of Cuba, as well as, it'll come to me in a second, but anyway, he called them comrades in arms. And at least Mandela had the foresight to realize, no, I want the average black South African person for their livelihood to increase. In other words, better opportunities. He was not looking for racial payback. And as you said earlier, these mobs of angry blacks in South Africa, they want payback. They want to put the shoe on the other foot. And unfortunately, I'm seeing it with a lot of liberal blacks in this country with regards to reparation, so-called white generational wealth, and all of these buzzwords. And it's not coming from moderate black people that still have some common sense, and it certainly isn't coming from conservatives.
No, you're right. It's coming from the left. It's coming from leftist elites. Tommy, you're kind of breaking up on us there about the last 20, 30 seconds. But look, you're right. Nelson Mandela, for all of his flaws, and he was a communist, there's no question, but he understood. I remember he kept saying this once he became president of South Africa. He said, we have to build on our wealth, not to destroy our wealth and redistribute it. Because he kept saying, I don't want to repeat Zimbabwe. He kept saying that over and over again. So he goes, it's not a question of what I want or don't want. It's you don't want to destroy white farmers. Because if you destroy the white farmers, you're going to have mass starvation. And I don't want my people to starve. And so he extended his hand to the white minority, and they embraced him back. And under Mandela, South Africa was actually doing okay. And you're right, he did divorce his wife, Winnie Mandela, because A, she was a psychopath, B, hardcore Marxist radical who oversaw death squads, literally death squads, assassination squads. And they started with the whole kill the Boer. In other words, kill white people. And he said, I want no part of this. But the moment he passed away, the ANC was taken over by these Marxist communist thugs. And in about 20, 25 years, they've literally driven this country into the ground. South Africa was a first world country. It's now a third world hellhole. And it's getting worse and worse by the day. And my prediction, Tommy, and you may disagree with me, I think this is just a trickle before the flood. You're going to see many more white farmers now. Now that they see, oh, America's taking them in? Oh, really? Trump is serious? He's going to allow us to come in as refugees? They would be crazy not to leave. To me, you're nuts if you stay. If you're a white farmer, you are insane. If you're white in general, you're insane if you stay in South Africa. Look, the major opposition party, which now leads in all the polls, is literally, you can look it up, it's the EFF. They're led by, he's a black Nazi. There's no other way to say it. He's a black supremacist. He's an absolute psychopath whack job. They chant. They just had 100,000 people show up at a massive rally. And their chant is, kill the Boer, kill the Afrikaner. So he'll say something about, we're going to take all the land. And then 100,000 of them in unison, mostly young men, kill the Boer, kill the Boer, kill the Afrikaner. And then he continues. And then 2 minutes later, kill the Boer, kill the... So he came out with a statement. You can look it up. Please don't take my word for it. This is what he said. I am not calling for the extermination. I'm quoting him directly now. I am not calling for the extermination of all whites for now. He qualified it as for now. He's talking open racial genocide. So you either have creeping genocide, which is what you're seeing now from the ruling party, or you have, when we get to power, a la Adolf Hitler, or, a la Joseph Stalin, or a la Robert Mugabe, we're going to wipe them all out. Now, door 1 or door 2, if you're a white in South Africa, your days are numbered. Get out. Get out. And to me, we'd be crazy not to take them in. They work. They got job skills. They're excellent farmers. They're hardworking, God-fearing. They come as families. They're here to contribute. They're not here to rob, steal, plunder, murder. And they're doing it legally. They register. We vet them. I don't see what the problem is. Tommy, as always, thank you very much for that call. Okay, joining me now, as she always does at this time, Grace, Dr. Grace, putting liberals in their place, Grace Voto. Grace, I know we wanted to talk about Trump's historic executive order regarding prescription drugs, which I think is going to change politics in this country. He has now taken a key Democratic issue and ripped it away from them. And it's also going to incredibly improve the lives of every American, including myself, because as you know, I'm on all sorts of medications, but let that go. But I've got to ask you, it's the hottest topic in the country right now. MSNBC, CNN, New York Times, Washington Post, Boston Globe, the entire media is in an uproar over the fact that Trump has admitted 59 Afrikaners, i.e. white South African farmers, into the country as refugees. They say it's racist on his part. It's a sign that he's a white supremacist because he wants to bring in, they call them all white supremacists. So they're saying he's allowing white supremacists to come into America. And now they're saying every single white South African refugee must be expelled. And if not, you now have liberals on TikTok saying, hunt them down and murder them. Your reaction?
Well, Jeff, that is absolutely horrifying, especially the last comment that you made about how vicious they intend to be towards those who they deem are not fit to enter this country. The truth of the matter is that all of us on the right have always been caricatured. We are in favor of any kind of legal immigration, and we are in favor of providing safe haven in this country to those who are persecuted, who are in harm's way around the world. But what we saw during the Biden regime, that it was absolute lawlessness, and Trump is doing the very opposite of it. He is showing the world that this country is open. We do have big welcoming arms, but we want to do it the right way. And we do want to grant refugee status to those who are truly the victims of genocide. It's absolutely horrific that they are reacting this way.
Grace, the liberals could have been smart. And this is not my unique point. I mean, many have been texting this into me all morning. All they had to do, it's 59 white South Africans. It's the proverbial drop in the bucket. It's, 59 is nothing in a country of 340 million. And they could have come out and said, yeah, we support all refugees coming in. But they didn't say that. They're saying no. Illegal aliens come in by the tens of millions. They can come in from Latin America. They can come in from Asia. They can come in from Africa, as long as they're black. They can come in from all over the world. but don't admit 59 white people. So what they've now done is they have exposed their true racist colors for the entire country and the world to see. Agree, disagree?
Well, Jeff, I completely agree with you. He was chastising the media, saying, you're not even covering it. You're not even covering the story of what is going on in South Africa. So why don't you begin by reporting the horror that is taking place there? Because that sets the groundwork for the sympathy that people feel towards these individuals coming into this country. But they don't want to do that because it doesn't fit their agenda. Their agenda is that white people around the world are privileged, that nothing bad ever happens to them. You know, I used to lecture at Howard University as a professor, and I started most lectures by saying, when we talked about British colonialism or European history, because it was predominantly, a crowd of black people from around the country and around the world, I would say, you have to realize that Europeans have killed more of one another than they have of any other group. Just to clarify that white people are also victims historically. They have been brutalized, Bad things happen to white people too. This idea that white people are only privileged is preposterous. It's complete ignorance. And so the media isn't even covering what is happening to these farmers in South Africa. And Trump was rightly chastising the media because they're perpetuating this myth that white people are privileged everywhere, which is nonsensical.
Grace, let me ask you this. What many are now saying, and this is coming from a lot of conservatives, and I agree with them, that why the left is in a complete meltdown over this issue, in fact, almost to the point that it's a psychological breakdown, is because it destroys their entire woke narrative that began under Black Lives Matter, which is to see everything through the lens of race, through the prism of race. But in particular, it's racial Marxism. It's this: blacks oppressed, whites are oppressors. The way, capitalists were oppressors, proletariat, the workers were oppressed. Everything is seen through oppressor, oppressed. Well, now what they've been pushing is whites oppressor, blacks oppressed. Well, if this story gets out, it's a black majority. I understand it's the government that's really spearheading this, but still, it's being done with the full blessing of the government, which has strong support among the population. You have a black majority literally systematically murdering, persecuting, and confiscating the land of a besieged white minority. It destroys their entire narrative. Is that why they cannot mentally, psychologically, emotionally handle 59 white South Africans coming into our country?
Well, it's that, Jeff. You absolutely nailed it dead on. But also, they're looking for some kind of a wedge issue. They're looking for some way to tarnish Trump during his second term. So you remember during the first term, what they used to great advantage against him, and they promoted all kinds of protests. They actively promoted this idea that he is a racist. And so they want to go back to that because everything else that they have tried hasn't really worked against him in the second term. The public sees that there's a tremendous amount of success, especially when it comes to the border. But Jeff, I got to say, I don't think any of it is going to work because many, many blacks that are now currently drifting away from the Democratic Party, they see what is systematically being done to them. And the game is up. I don't think it's going to work because you know who were the victims of this massive illegal immigration? It was so many people in the inner city that felt displaced by Democratic policies. So I think it's just going to ring hollow, like so much of what they have tried to do lately.
Grace, we've got a couple of minutes left, and I want to ask you again. This is a personal question. If you don't want to answer it, obviously I won't be offended. You know that. But do you believe now, look, I'm not saying this is, an inverse of apartheid South Africa. I'm not saying that. But do you increasingly feel that we are living in a racist country whereby anti-white racism, anti-white bigotry, anti-white discrimination, at least at the elite level, at the corporate level, we see it through diversity, equity, inclusion, which Trump is trying to roll back, obviously. We see it through affirmative action in hiring at universities. You see the propaganda that they're teaching our kids in public schools and colleges. You see Hollywood. You see the Democratic Party. You see the media. Is anti-white racism, is it now becoming fashionable and accepted among many segments of our so-called ruling class? Are whites now the victims and targets of racism?
Well, Jeff, I think they have tried to do that, and I think those ideas are rampant amongst our elites. But if you ask me the question, on a personal basis, living in the United States of America, what amazes me every day, dealing with children that interact so beautifully with all races, dealing with our neighborhood that has diverse people on the street and across the community, I see that on a daily basis, Americans interact the most beautifully that I've ever seen in other country when it comes to their, relationships with other races. And so it's the elites that are behind the reality of what I'm actually seeing and living in this country.
Interesting. So you're saying at the ground level, what you're seeing on the ground, at the common person level, it's very tolerant, very open, very accepting. You're saying a lot of this racism is there, but it's being driven top down. It's coming from the elites. 1 minute, correct?
That is correct. And often when I interact, say, with black middle class or black families moving into the upper middle class, their interaction with whites is absolutely beautiful, especially black Christians who also feel that their values are being assaulted on a daily basis by the elites.
Interesting. All right, as always, dynamite stuff. Dr. Grace putting liberals in their place. Grace Voto, full disclosure, my better half. Yes, I definitely married up. Grace, we'll talk to you again on Wednesday next week, same time, same place. And again, great job. I think you hit the nail right on the head. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, let me ask you two questions. One, do you think Trump is making a mistake by bringing in these white South African farmers, 59 of them so far, and admitting them as refugees? Is he giving the left an opening to attack him as a racist or a white supremacist, which is what they're clearly now doing? And number two, in general, do you think it is a good idea to bring in white South African farmers into the United States as refugees? Do you support it? Do you like it? Do you not like it? And overall, are you shocked at the outpouring of anti-white racism that is now on full display, whether it be in the media, the dishonest, corrupt media, as Arthur rightly says, the Democratic Party, these NGOs? You have the Episcopal Church. Just to give you another, I could do you story after story. The Episcopal Church, the leadership of the Episcopal Church. You remember that reverend? That female reverend who lectured Trump, what was it, a couple days after his victory? And she lectured him right there from the pulpit, how he should not crack down on the border. He should not be deporting a single illegal alien out of the United States. And she said, Jesus wouldn't do this, and this is wrong, and there's no compassion, and you're being a racist. She has now come out, and the leadership, the head of the Episcopal Church, has now come out and said they are terminating their relationship with the federal government. All of this grant money that they were getting, they're saying, we don't want any more money. We will no longer be in the business of helping to resettle refugees across the United States because of Trump's decision to allow 59 white South African farmers to come in as refugees into the United States. Why? They say it flies against everything they've done over the last 40 years in support of, their words, racial justice, racial reconciliation, how this is an insult to them. Basically, what they're saying is you're importing racists into America, and we want no part of it. And so the Episcopal Church is willing to walk away from a lot of money, because they want nothing to do with resettling white people as refugees in America. I mean, I'm sorry. If this is not blatant anti-white racism, I don't know what is. So my question to you, are we now seeing whites being classified the way, say, the Jews used to be in Central Eastern Europe, or the way blacks were in the Old South? Is this now a new racism that we have to confront and defeat? Steve in Kentucky. Thanks for holding, Steve, and welcome.
How you doing this morning, Jeff?
Hi, Steve. Good.
Well, years ago, I was in the platinum business, which South Africa holds one of the biggest mines in the world. I had to deal with them over in Pasadena, Texas, at a company called Tecamet. And there, the man, Julian was his name. He was telling me that for no reason whatsoever, his daughter they were pulling her student visa for no apparent reason. And I said, well, don't they know what's going on over there? I had just heard a story with one of the Fox people about a woman that was drugged from her car, beaten, raped, and murdered right there in the intersection, and nobody did anything. And it was scary. My father in the late 90s told me, he said, son, pay close attention to what's happening in South Africa, because it's a mirror to what's going to happen here. I didn't think he was right, but here we are.
Oh, that's interesting. Steve, so basically I think what you're saying is you think they are genuine, legitimate refugees, and we should be admitting them into the country, correct?
Absolutely. Just read some of their things that are going on over there. It's horrible. People losing their farms, being murdered, and apparently it's illegal to kill white people there. And I wish I was playing, Jeff, but that's how it is.
Steve, thank you very much for that call. I really appreciate it. Let's go to, who do I want to go to next, Mike? Henry? Okay, let's go to Henry in New Hampshire. Thanks for holding, Henry, and welcome.
Jeff, how are you doing this morning?
Very good. By the way, Henry, you have a very nice, deep voice. Perfect for radio. You. I'm telling you, Henry, you should be on the air. I would kill to have your voice. But anyway, please, keep going, Henry.
Well, Jeff, a couple of things. In regards to the Africans, the 59 individuals, this is the most blatant lib poop, diaper full of poop that they can throw in your face. For what we have gone through all of these years, especially in these past 4 years, and forget about the history. This is really, they're just trying to obviously get something in their corner. The libs need to obviously complain about something, right? Which myself, I was born in Spain, brought here by my parents back in the day. Everything was done correctly. They did very well, and my kids have done well, and I am a naturalized American, and I'm very proud to be an American living here in New Hampshire. Now, with that said, in regards to the whole Qatar plane thing, I'm kind of a little divided on that, and I'll tell you why.
Henry, can you do me a big favor? I'm up against a break. I don't want to rush you. So please hang on. I promise I'm going to take you on the other side. Short break. Let me ask all of you. Henry says, look, they're being murdered. They're being persecuted. They're being mistreated. This is obviously what's happening in South Africa. The media doesn't want us to know about it, but if facts are facts are facts. Okay, let's go right back to Henry in New Hampshire. Henry, you were talking about the plane. Speaking of the plane, Trump is in Qatar right now as we speak, and I'm sure the media is going to pound him with questions about that plane. But please, pick up where you left off, Henry.
You know, they have been pounding him, and they will continue to pound him. But people also have to realize, and some people, as yourself and other media, has been saying, well, there could be a bomb on the plane, there could be a bug on the plane, the whole 20 yards. What people don't realize is that the biggest military presence that we have is in Qatar, okay? At the same time, Qatar has invested over $8 billion in our military presence there as far as infrastructure and everything else. Now, at the same time, who do they want to have their back? The Chinese? No. The Russians? Can't trust them. You have Iran there. These people are holding on to the United States like the closest thing that they can have. So, we can have different opinions as to whether the plane is good or that. Look, people have been giving presents to our presidents for years. Okay, maybe this might be one of the most significant ones, but at the same time, we can't dissolve the fact that these people are invested in us for their safety.
That's a very interesting point of view. And Henry, look, I have to say, I was just doing a little bit of extra research on this. At the time, the Statue of Liberty, now again, we're talking 19th century dollars. But it's actually considered more than, a $400 million gift at the time. And that, in terms of the money and the value at the time. So the Statue of Liberty was considered an incredibly expensive gift. And unlike a plane, which can be used for a million different reasons, I mean, technically, Trump could sell the plane. I mean, really, he could, on behalf of the U.S. government, he could sell the plane and then take the proceeds to give to veterans or to give to wounded warriors or, tunnel to towers, or he can do anything he wants with the plane, right? Statue of Liberty, when we accepted it, it's there. I mean, it's huge. It's massive. It's hard to move once you put it in there. So I don't understand. If the Statue of Liberty was acceptable, I'm just speaking out loud here, why are the liberals and the media going apoplectic that somehow it's a bribe, it's corruption, it's unethical? They're just looking to fabricate or manufacture another false scandal. That's all this is. More lies and dishonesty from the media. Henry, thank you very much for that call. Look, just very quick here. This was Trump. He's on Air Force One, and the media won't stop asking him questions about that plane from Qatar. So Trump really said, okay, you guys keep asking, I'm going to give you a real honest answer. You guys keep asking, I'll answer. I'm not happy with Boeing. I gave the contract to Boeing in 2018. We signed on the dotted line. 2 Air Force One planes by 2024. And yes, I was hard on the negotiations. I'm representing the American taxpayer. I'm not going to give away billions of dollars to you guys to line your pockets. And you promised me 2 planes by 2024. Well, now you're talking 2027, 2028, maybe even now 2029. He goes, so you're way over budget and you're really behind schedule. And Qatar says, hey, okay, you guys need a plane for Air Force One? We've got a plane, $400 million. Listen now to Trump. Roll cut 1. Mike.
I said, where's the plane? And they having difficulty. I'm not happy with Boeing, but we're going to work on Boeing. And Boeing's got some unbelievable people working for it, so I'm not going to do anything bad to Boeing. But they had a strong contract. I wrote the contract. It was a guaranteed price contract, and if I wanted to, I could, hurt Boeing, and I don't want to hurt Boeing. But they are very late with the plane, and Qatar heard about it, and he's a great leader. And we were talking, and he said, if I can help you, let me do that.
So, Qatar, however you want to pronounce it, Qatar says, hey, look, apparently the president is flying around on a plane that's 40 years old. Okay, it's starting to break down. It's not safe anymore. Boeing can't deliver. Well, it's not new, but it's almost new. Big plane, beautiful plane. I know you guys are going to have to rip it up and put in engines and new technology and radar systems. We get it. But if you need the frame of a big, nice 747 luxury jumbo jet, which is what the president flies around in, we've got one here for you. So listen to Trump. Roll cut 1A, Mike.
And they had a plane, not a new plane at all, but they had a plane. And, you know, these planes, the plane that you're on right now is almost 40 years old. And when you land and you see Saudi Arabia and you see UAE and you see Qatar and you see all these, and they have these brand new Boeing 747s mostly, and you see ours next to it. This is like a totally different plane. It's much smaller. It's much less impressive as it is. And, you know, we're the United States of America. I believe that we should have the most impressive plane.
So on the one hand, and I didn't quite look at it from that point of view, to be honest, but he makes an interesting point. He says, you know, we're flying all over the world. He goes, I'm telling you right now, you think the Saudi leader flies around on a small plane like, he goes, it's a nice plane, Air Force One, but theirs is so much bigger, newer, much more luxurious. It makes a real impact when it lands. The United Arab Emirates, Qatar, whatever. Other countries around the world. You put up Air Force One beside them, we almost look insignificant. And plus, theirs are brand new and ours is 40 years old. Now, come on, we're the United States of America, carrying the President of the United States. And our plane is being eclipsed by other countries and other leaders around the world? This is not a good look for our country. Now, I didn't quite look at it that way, but I'm like, ooh, you know, when you put it that way, that's interesting. So listen now to Trump saying, I don't understand what this entire scandal is about. Look, Boeing couldn't deliver. We've got a plane now that is increasingly, everybody admits, unsafe to fly in. We need a substitute plane for at least a couple years. I'm supposed to turn down a free plane? This is his argument. Roll cut 1B, Mike.
So they said to me, we would like to, in effect, we would like to make a gift. You've done so many things, and we'd like to make a gift to the Defense Department, which is where it's going. And I said, well, that's nice. Now, some people say, oh, you shouldn't accept gifts for the country. My attitude is, why wouldn't I accept a gift? We're giving to everybody else. Why wouldn't I accept a gift? Because it's going to be a couple of years, I think, before the Boeings are finished. And they'll be wonderful when they're finished, but that's a long time.
So now what I'm saying is just this. Okay, wherever you stand, look, I don't trust Qatar. I understand Henry's point that they're invested in us. Their security's invested in us. I understand where he's coming from. I don't trust that regime. It's an Islamic regime. They fund terrorists around the world. I'm sorry, I wouldn't take a gift from them personally. Or if not for Air Force One. You want to take the plane, I would take the plane and whatever, use it to deport illegals or sell it and take the proceeds and give it to veterans or whatever. But I wouldn't use the plane as Air Force One. Okay, I'm just going to be honest with you. But whatever you stand on the issue, okay, wherever, how does this dominate the president's time and agenda when he's making history again and again and again and again? This is what I find incredible. It's either the plane or it's 59 white South African farmers. Like, again, even where you stand on the Afrikaner issue, it's 59. It's not even 100. It's 59. And they're acting like, oh, the sky is falling. The Fourth Reich, white supremacy. Let's go to Peter in Tewksbury. Peter, thanks for holding and welcome.
Hi, Jeff.
Hi, Peter.
No, I was just thinking as far as the Afrikaners coming over, is there a way that we could take over some of the farmland that the Chinese have bought right near our airfields and military bases and, you know, make a deal to get them some land next to those bases, either by, I don't know, eminent domain, or even if they set up a deal to have China sell it to these people. I don't know what you thought of that idea.
Peter, I love it. Again, best audience in the business. I know I sound like a broken record, but it's true. You're dead on. Look, I would take all that. I don't care. It's communist China. They owe us for what they did to us in COVID, during COVID. The trade deficits, how they've robbed us, blind, lied to us, stolen all of our intellectual property and research and development. I could go on and on. Eminent domain. We take all of their land, all of that precious farmland, and I'm not bringing in 59 white South African farmers. I'm bringing in as many as they want to come, because I'm telling you, it's going to lead to an agricultural boom. These people are very hardworking, very law-abiding. They've got excellent job skills, farming skills, agricultural skills. They're God-fearing Christian people. They love this country. They're very grateful to be here. And we need farmers. And to me, that is precious, precious farmland. Again, we should be economically, when it comes to everything, but especially food, we should be completely self-sufficient. I don't want to rely on other countries, especially hostile countries, for our food supply. And we've got so much rich agricultural farmland. And these people really are salt of the earth. They will work their rear ends off. They pay taxes. I mean, in every way. They are, and look at them. I mean, they're already waving they just landed and they're already waving the American flag. So, to me, every white South African farmer, if they want to come on in, baby. And I agree with you. I would take all that eminent domain, all of it, use eminent domain, forgive me, and take all of that land that China has bought up. And to be honest, I think Bill Gates as well. To me, Bill Gates is an international criminal. He's a criminal for what he did with the jab, for what he's done to the United States, for everything he's done against this country. He's another one that's been buying up precious farmland everywhere. Everyone's asking, like, what do you need all this farmland for? Now, again, it's a free country. You can buy whatever you want. But there's something nefarious going on. He doesn't need all of these acres and acres and acres and acres. So they're scheming something. I think they want to buy up as much farmland as possible to eventually undercut our food supply. I'm giving you my honest answer, Peter. Because Gates is part of that whole World Economic Forum where they're openly talking about there's too much population. He said it openly. We only need about 500 million people. That's what Bill Gates has said on the record again and again, not once, many times. He says, so we've got about 7 billion too many people. He's playing God. And so they're openly saying we need more wars. We need more famines. We need more disease. We need, we need more sterilization so people can't reproduce. I'm like, blank you. I take that eminent domain. I swear to you. I take it from him too. Give it to these white African farmers. Welcome to America, baby. And you're going to watch. I mean, we'll be the most economically self-sufficient country in terms of food and agriculture in the history of the world. Peter, final word to you.
Yeah, I just want to overall, Jeff, do you think the Democrats are going to finally realize how much Trump has done in 4.5 months versus, Biden putting a lid on it at 12 noon, and understand what a great job he's actually doing, or will they ever give him credit for anything? Because I just think he's, promises made, promises kept.
He's like a machine. No, really, he's like a machine. He's a force of nature. Look, Peter, on the ground, there are going to be Democrat voters that are going to continue to bleed from the Democratic Party. Trump is building up a majority coalition right in front of our eyes. So I think ordinary Democrats, yes, they're going to say, wow, we were lied to. And they're going to continue to come our way. The leadership, the Democrat Party, its members of Congress, its leaders, absolutely not. Because the big lie, remember now, they're all invested in this. The media has gone all in. So has the Democrats. This is why I think this is going to be the end for them. he's a dictator. Remember what they said now, that you'll never see another election in America again. That's what they said, that he is Hitler 2.0. This is the resurrection of Adolf Hitler. So we are, according to them, we're living already in a fascist dictatorship. See, that's why they strain for anything. So 59 white South African farmers, white supremacy! And they sound like idiots. Because they've come out and said, we will never have another election again. Trump will turn out to be a dictator. And he is going to destroy the country. It's the Russia hoax on steroids. And we're going to have a midterm election. We're going to have a 2028 election. The country's never going to be freer and more prosperous or greater. And that's when I think the Democrats are going to come crashing down. I got to go. Bye-bye.